Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this platform, wherever you're following me um, on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you get to see this. Thank you for still being connected to me and watching these interviews that I've been doing with my great friends and authors. Today, I have Tracy with me, so I'll give her a chance to introduce herself and let us know a little bit about who she is and what she does.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Tracy Loken Weber, and I'm honored to be here today to share a little bit more about our story and our journey. I am a trained professionally here as a K-12 teacher, and then did that for many, many years, and then stumbled into the world of adult literacy, where I served as an director, an executive director, many hats I wore as that role. And then during that time, after working many, many years. I'm not going to say how many because then I feel really old.
You
But
just look
basically,
15. You're fine.
yeah, basically my whole adult career was just focused on work and my career and that pathway. But I was still longing to be a mom. And let's see, 17 years ago, I had cancer. So that took away my ability to have children. And so then my husband and I, after prayerfully considering, are we empty nesters for life, or do we tackle the quest here of creating a forever family? We decided to go the adoption track and work in the world of foster care and be a pre-adoptive foster home for children. And so besides being an adoptive mom and a foster mom, I am completing this journey of getting my lifelong dream of getting a PhD. And so it's a PhD in leadership and advancement. And it's a 3-year program. I'm on my 4th year of it. So the 3 years is complete intensive classroom experience. And then after that, then you work on your dissertation. So I'm in the dissertation phase of my PhD. So doing that, and I work as a state trainer for UW-M for University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and that's for all incoming foster and adoptive parents to go through the classes that I help train to help these individuals get the hours that they need and the knowledge that they need in order to best care for children in their care. And then on the side, I just do some volunteer work and other work with the state of Wisconsin through the Office of Children's Mental Health. And then also here in the county that I live, also serve on a committee helping to be that parent voice. And then recently, I guess, oh my goodness, I just go on and on. Recently trained as a parent peer support specialist and then also as a master life coach.
Yeah, you've been busy, but you are busy doing great work. And I think that makes it more meaningful than just doing busy work. You're making a difference. So in the midst of all of that, the work you do in advocacy and being a parent's voice and supporting other parents who are joining the foster care / adoption world and pursuing your own doctorate degree, like how did you get into writing?
It's interesting because if someone would have told me like 3 or 4 years ago that I'd be an author of 7 different books, I probably would have thought they were crazy and just laughed them out of the room because really, who would have thunk little old Tracy from rural Minnesota would ever turn into this writer? And it basically happened at a really low point in our life. We were fostering and we were getting ready to adopt. And right before the adoption happened, our youngest started displaying some pretty significant behaviors, and to the point where she had had some mental health hospitalizations. And during that time, I just started journaling about it. I would get to class early and I would just start writing about our experiences because honestly, what I was experiencing was blowing my mind of systems that just were not in it for the children. And, she was in a day treatment program, for example, and the day treatment program at a hospital couldn't control or work with our daughter to the point that they called me just to come get her because they couldn't deal with her anymore. And I'm like, you're the professionals. This is a hospital setting. She's in this program for a reason and you can't help her. Why? I'm like, why do you think I can help her if I'm sending her to you as the professionals? So that's just one example, and so many more of just these mind-blowing stories. And I just started journaling them, and then I was nearing my completion of the coursework, and God just kind of put it on my heart to reach out to you and pitch the idea of creating this book, but have it be from the standpoint of resilience and have it be from hope and how can we show more hope and grace to everybody that we come in contact with, but have it be with prayers, have it be with some thoughtful action items, but share lived experiences from foster and adoptive families. And so that's how I started. It was just a simple journal, really for my mental health, just to kind of get it out on paper. And it's been such a healing process for me.
Yeah. And the book, by the way, for those watching, the book is right behind her with the white frame around it. If you see it, and it's simply dedicated. And truly, oh, there you are. You have a cup right in front of you. Also, thanks for sharing that.
Everywhere. I sprinkle around like confetti right now.
And rightfully so. It deserves to be spread around. It's been such a joy to go through, to walk with you on that journey of putting the book together. I know when you reached out to me, it was like more than a year, like at least a year before now that we're recording this and the book is literally coming out. From the day we're recording this, it's coming on 5 days. And when we start talking about this, it was literally a year in advance. And even during that year, as you're putting this book together and working on it, you got to know you were able to work on other projects with me and others. Of course, a good friend Carrie did some project with her too. But I loved how you had a project in mind. You knew to reach out for help, because often authors will have, anyone, people in general will have these great ideas and we think we have to do it by ourselves. You knew how to reach out for help so that you can do it better and quicker and more efficiently, but you didn't let that big project that was more long term per se, you didn't let that stop you from working on over short term project. So you were part of Made to Overcome Chronic Illness Edition, I believe. Now the Caregiver Edition coming out in 2 weeks. The We All Belong book around inclusion and diversity, and then the other books we did with Carrie was I'm Enough in Christ devotionals and workbook and all that good stuff. So you kept working on something else while still maintaining that bigger goal, front and focus, and still working on it. So that's a good tip for everyone listening there, authors, writers, that if you're working on a big project, a solo project, that does not prevent you from working on a blog post here, a chapter there, an article over there. It keeps you active in your writing, and it keeps you visible, in the writing space. Because you can have a big project and nobody knows you're working on it and working on it in the back scene. It's like behind the scenes. And then a year come later, like, oh, she has a book. Oh, good. But you would have missed the entire, like, all the people that could have been connected to you within that whole year if you've been publishing little things like that, a blog, article, being part of a collaboration project. And that increases your readership as well. A lot more people will be reading what you're writing, and then it helps you promote that book or that big project when it comes out.
Absolutely. Right. And, we have 5 children, and we're fostering a little boy too right now. So we have 6 kiddos in the house, and, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in this house. But for me, it's been a great release of creative writing and getting my headspace into a different zone. And, mind you, this is all happening with virtual homeschooling instruction. And it's the craziest time ever, right?
Yeah.
But it's happening, and we're just making a go of it. And the kids are so proud to see mommy's books, and they love reading about it. And it's just been exciting for all of us.
Yeah. And I saw, I think it was last night or maybe the day before, picture of your kids making bookmarks for the book. That just really touched my heart. And it's good to see the whole family now. It becomes this family project, and It's good. It's good. It's good for
Right.
the kids to see and inspires them as well.
We have about 40 more bookmarks to make. And so we try to knock out 15 at a time or so. And then
Yeah,
otherwise they get a little drained, but they're so
I don't
good.
blame them.
Then we have
Much
these
work.
fun little colorful tassels that they get to pick out and put on each bookmark. And
Nice.
each one's just made with a lot of love.
Yeah, yeah. Beautiful. So when you do write, you kind of know where you find your inspiration is for your own personal experiences. But how'd you get into the flow? Because sometimes writers will struggle, like, I have the idea up here, I just can't get to writing it, whether it's on paper or on the computer. Just kind of process. Like, what does that look like for you?
Well, for me, it involves getting into scripture and a quiet place.
Hmm.
The best time for me to really get inspired is Sunday mornings. It's quiet around here, and
Mm-hmm.
we do church, and then I go from this local CBS Sunday morning news show to a CBS Sunday, the global, the national CBS Sunday morning news show. And then I go to our church online by 9, and then that's done at 10. And then there's another worship service that I love to go. So I start at 7 a.m. on Sunday, and by 11, my cup is so filled with inspiration and purpose.
Mm,
I just start journaling and writing everything down. And so
nice.
I have I kind of think of like an overarching topic theme. And then kind of I think about front, middle, end, and then
Hmm.
write
Hmm.
that conclusion. And I usually stick pretty hard to the conclusion. And then I back it up from there.
Hmm.
But oftentimes my inspiration comes at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so I have like a little pad of paper by my bed, and I just jot, if I don't write it down, honest to Pete, I will forget it.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I have this cool little folder. It's kind of
Love it.
funky, but inside this folder, I have a lot of like little post-it notes, and inside those post-it notes are chapters for another book that I would like to do.
Mm, mm,
And so I don't want to forget these stories, and I don't want to forget these lived experiences that we've gone
mm.
through. And so I just write it down on a post-it note. And sometimes too, if I'm working on a chapter and an outline, I'll just do multiple post-it notes, kind of move them around, and
Yeah,
then just go to it.
love it. Yeah. And I love the post-it note idea or system. And we all have different ways of organizing our thoughts and putting them to paper or deciding what goes where and outlining or work. I like the idea of the post-it note because you can easily move it around, and it works well. And now there's so many apps too that you can use to actually do something similar, where you're literally just moving post-it notes or different pins if you want
Yeah,
around on the board because it's ideas changes, right? You like, and you have like, I think this will go here, and like, no, I'll move over there. So
right.
yeah, it helps for those of us who are very visual learners. It helps also to kind of keep things in sync with our mind, the way our mind process information for sure.
Right. And something that I found too that's helpful is if you pick like a theme, like one chapter that I wrote recently is all about kaleidoscopes and seeing
Mm,
things through different lenses. And when you
mm-hmm,
shift
mm-hmm.
that viewing tube, you see things a little bit differently, a little bit clearly, and helping to understand. And so I just kind of ran that kaleidoscope idea all the way through the chapter, and it's powerful. I
Mm-hmm,
think when you
mm-hmm,
can really relate to something or talk about walking a path, right? Or talk about being on a freeway, and in life there's
mm-hmm,
so many
mm-hmm.
on ramps and off ramps. How do we work that freeway of
Yeah.
life really in process? So just kind of thinking things through a little bit and being creative.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love analogies, and I use them a lot, even with my own client and coaching and something. Now people start quoting my knowledge. I'm like, I think I heard that before. And she's like, you told me that 2 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, that was me. But I think people remember those, easily. Like it just grasps your mind, I guess, or your mind grasps the idea and then it clings to you and it just like, oh yeah, that really sinks in. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So what might be other advice or suggestions you might have for new writers?
You know, um, mm, having a difficult time right now in my life. My mom is in hospice care and she's not doing well. And there's this chapter that I committed to prior to my mom kind of taking a turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I was struggling to write this chapter. I had an idea, and I just, the words weren't coming to me. I just couldn't flow. I just couldn't get into the groove.
Mm.
And so yesterday morning, I did my routine, right? I did the CBS Sunday morning news shows. I did Our Church Online, and I did the other one. And man alive, did the words start flowing through me. And I just grabbed the notebook that I have by my nightstand there, and I just started writing. And I have 4 pages of handwritten notes now. So I'm starting to move those thoughts around and get it onto the computer. And right now I have 6 pages drafted. But it won't be that when I'm all said and done. But it's just you write down those thoughts, and then like you just move it around, and you keep going, and you just look for inspiration, whatever moves you, whether it be a walk, going for a drive, listening to music. This is my office. It's in the quietest part of our home. And when I think, or when I need to do these calls, this is my space. This is where I come to. Because the kiddos know to leave me alone.
That's mom's space.
Right. Yeah.
Do not enter, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, totally get that. And so for your writing journey, I know it's been a little over a year now, just, writing your own book and other projects you've been part of. Like, what has helped you? Like, what would you say have been very crucial, detrimental, or impactful even, in your own journey?
Hearing others' feedback after reading something that I've written. And, mind you, in high school, my guidance counselor told me I wasn't smart enough to go into college. And here I sit with, degrees and so many worldly life experiences, and everybody has a story to tell. And being open and willing to be raw and willing to let people into your world, because, for example, raising kiddos that have been abused and neglected in the foster care system and by their bio parents. I mean, there are foster homes that have not been okay for our children. And helping them heal and process through that is a very hard and daunting task. But at the same time, a lot of people don't talk about these stories. And that's why I felt the calling and the need to do Simply Dedicated, to help teachers and doctors and lawyers and therapists and county workers understand the importance of supporting that foster and adoptive family, and how we can create supportive teams of care in order to have healing occur. And, for me, is to share these stories and to know that I can be part of a system of change. And through these lived experiences, that we're able really to have systems change, that it's not okay for a county worker to tell someone that your child isn't going to resort to anything, and that I should just give up and realize that I will be taking care of this child for the rest of my life, or just to put this child in a residential treatment facility and take my rights as a parent away. And I thought to myself, how can you as a county worker say such a thing to a parent who's coming to you for help? And so many parents probably would just roll over and listen to that and write that child off as worthless, right? As like a worthless cousin. Who would do such a thing? And who would say such a thing? And to me, every child is a precious gift, and we just need to dig for treasure and find that gift within each child. And so I hope that this book, Simply Dedicated, can really help be part of the change.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all that you do. Is there something that you know now that you wish you knew then?
Everything in this book. And then some, right?
Yeah.
I mean, as a trained teacher, working in the world of adult literacy, we didn't talk about trauma. We didn't talk about neglect. We didn't know anything about creating a trauma-informed classroom. Really, kids and PTSD and trauma is really around, 10 years where people are starting to focus in on that. So, I want to be part of that voice as a previous teacher, as an administrator, to really talk through what does that look like and really share the story of what it really truly means to be trauma informed, and helping staff and helping teachers understand the importance of that balance between home life and school life, and really creating a trauma informed environment within the schools.
Yeah. And I so echo that from totally different perspective. Not just, I don't have adoptive children. I never perhaps taught in a classroom, although I did some work in schools as an inclusion consultant, and also as a behavioral health consultant. So I see trauma in, those structure environments, if you want, but I also see trauma as a counselor, and that's part of even my own journey of, of needing support and help for my own trauma led me to becoming, certified in that, and helping families find their healing, recover from trauma and grief, and all those life setbacks, kind of help to rise above all of those. And I cannot echo what you said more. It's like we need more informed, trauma informed spaces everywhere, anywhere, in our churches, and, we need that for all of us. It's pretty much anyone that you see walking around, anyone you meet has a 99.9% likelihood of having experienced trauma. So if you just think about that, if the stats are that high, that there's that likelihood that most of us experience at least one traumatic thing in our life, situation in our life, how more so is it important for all of us to be trained in how to support others in ways that are healing and not, demeaning, in ways that that doesn't re-traumatize people.
Right. Well, and that's why I always say it's important to just keep showering grace and forgiveness to everyone you meet, because you never know the battle that they're personally facing.
Yeah. So where can people find you?
Good question. No. Where am I today? I'm in my office the whole time. I wish I could be in here all the time, but I have a website. So it's tracylokenweber.com. That's probably the best place to find me, and then you can connect other ways from there with me.
Sounds good. And we'll make sure that we add that to the description of so people can just click on there and follow you there, and go check it out. Thank you so much, though, for doing this with me and for making the time to do this. I know you're very busy and you have a lot going on right now, and definitely, keeping you and your family in my prayers.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that this is so important, and no matter how busy we are in life, we always make time for what's important. And so I encourage everybody just to make some time for themselves and to do that self-care, but remember family, and make time for family, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important.
Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank you for being so wonderful, Joe. It's just a blessing to work with you.
Oh, my pleasure. It's an honor to be able to help others kind of bring those dreams, into life, whether it's a book or it's a business or it's a ministry. It's an honor. And just like you said, someone that told me 5 years from now that I'll be doing this, I'm like, are you crazy? Right? I have other things to do. I don't have time for this. And then, yeah, and like, I always wrote when I was younger, and I knew that I wanted to write. I never took it seriously until just a few years ago. And even when I started writing a few years ago, I knew I had goals for my own writing. And it wasn't until all of you start reaching out to me and like, Shoo, I need you to help me with this book and that book. I'm like, oh, you guys were seeing in me was something that I didn't see in myself. I didn't see myself as a publisher. I was already doing counseling and start switching to coaching to help my clients and stuff, but I never saw myself as a writing coach. So it's all those things that when you say yes to God, how he just opens doors. God sees in us more than we can ever see in ourselves. And he puts people along the path to kind of remind you, hey, there's a gem over here that you have not been noticing. Polish it a little bit, own that craft and, and serve, from that space. And so it's an honor for me to serve from that space. And thank you all for trusting me with your projects, with your dreams and your books. It's no,
Yes.
it's definitely no teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Amen. Amen
Yeah.
to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All
thank
right.
you.
You're welcome. Thanks for making time again. And you and I will talk to you soon for sure.
All right. Take care.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.